Chapter 84 Lightning Strike, Wrath Shock. Mo Fan, you have to pay for our own stupidity. Currently, your father is kneeling down to my foster father in front of everyone. I believe that makes you feel even worse than you personally kowtowing. As Yu Eng saw this scene, he didn't have a trace of sympathy. Instead, he laughed once more. He's just returning a gift. My dad is a simple and honest person. He feels that it's more sincere if he were to return a gift. Mo Fan turned around. His eyes were coldly gazing at Yu Eng, who was still laughing. I see you're not convinced until you're faced with the reality. In that case, let me turn you into an ice cube first, and then slowly enjoy this kind of ceremony that will cause you to never raise your head again within Bo City. Yu Eng swore, as his eyes dripped with disdain. The ice stars began to quickly connect with each other within Yu Eng's eyes. With the ice silkworm armor on his body, Yu Eng wasn't worried about being interrupted by Mo Fan's fire burst, even if this guy Mo Fan was faster than him at casting. On the other side, Mo Fan's pair of eyes were extremely cold. If Mu Joyun had a slight intention of letting go of these matters, then he would have given up on the matters today. However, the father and son's arrogance and irrationality had thoroughly provoked Mo Fan. He firmly believed that if he didn't win this duel, then he would see a scene where his father would kowtow until he started bleeding for his foolish son. However, was he really that foolish? Today, I will let everyone understand what it means for a single spark to start a prairie fire. Background is also a form of strength? Mo Fan couldn't help but start laughing loudly. In the next second, his laugh came to a stop. Replacing his laughter was a domineering aura that no one had seen before. In that case, my innate talent is also a form of strength. Do you really think that I, Mo Fan, would lose just like that? Have a taste of the might of my lightning. Purple-colored pupils suddenly appeared. Within the pitch-black eyeballs that seemed like the vast universe was a purple star radiance, glinting warningly. Lightning, the strongest of the elements. It represented anger, might, and destruction. This ridiculous social ladder was shattered into pieces by this violent lightning. The stars actually had a special connection with the feelings of the owner. The natural attribute of the lightning embedded its user with the domineering quality that would not cease at any time. It was not because of the user's petty background. It was not because of circumstances outside of the body. All of the lightning stars had never been obedient before. That was because Mo Fan's mental state had never been in sync with the lightning element's temperament before today. The lightning star path ignited a raging wrath within his heart as it instantly connected. They also seemed like they wanted to be granted all of the energy of their user. Star path emerge. The magic that congested the mysterious energy between heaven and earth was of the highest quality. BZZZT. The purple lightning arc was tyrannical as it emerged. It unprecedentedly swirled around Mo Fan's body, willingly awaiting Mo Fan's command. Mo Fan raised his head with lightning within his gaze. Lightning strike. Wrath shock. Within the lightning, Mo Fan raised one of his hands. Following this action, he violently grasped his hand, and the traces of lightning frantically swirling in the air turned into lightning soldiers. They gave out an angry hissing as they chaotically bombarded Yu Eng's position. BZZT. After the numerous traces of the purple lightning landed, they began to mutually link to themselves and turned into an even stronger lightning as they ferociously attacked Yu Eng, who seemed completely defenseless. Yu Eng's ice spread spell was still being chanted. In the next second, he was completely wrapped within the dazzling, yet dreadful lightning force. The shock within his heart could not be described with words. The attack was incomparably violent. Every time it shocked his body, it would transmit an acute pain. What was even more dreadful was that these lightning traces could enter the body's flesh and bones while causing the enormous effects of an electrical shock. Even if the ice silkworm armor was resisting it, it still wouldn't be able to completely block out the all-pervasive penetrating power of lightning. Yu Eng's body no longer belonged to himself. His body was acutely twitching as he stood there. The arrogance and superior look on his face was no longer there. All that remained was his eyes filled with questions and disbelief. Why? Why is this? Lightning, this is clearly lightning strike. Why can you, a primary fire magician, cast a lightning spell? The ice silkworm armor didn't exist in front of the might of lightning strike. At last, Yu Eng let out a miserable scream. His entire being began to collapse under the assault of the purple lightning strike. This time, it would be impossible for Yu Eng to get up. A third-level lightning strike was even more powerful than fire burst. The ice silkworm armor was capable of restraining fire spells, but there was no way it could possibly defend against the dreadful ability of a third-level lightning strike. The lightning's roar was still screeching by the ears, but the entire manor was completely silent. Everyone was completely dumbstruck the moment Mo Fan cast lightning strike. Although the lightning strike didn't hit them, the bolt from the sky was still within their minds. What did they just see? Lightning strike? This is freaking lightning strike? You, a primary fire magician, are telling us that you were able to cast lightning strike? Yu Ang had already collapsed from the attacks. Currently, the people had forgotten about this guy's existence. Instead, the scene in front of them that was beyond common sense had made them so shocked that they almost went crazy. How could they not go crazy? In this world, any magician at the primary level could only control the magic of one element. Magicians were only able to obtain their second element when they reached the intermediate level. You, a third-year high school student who hasn't graduated yet, how can you have acquired two elements? One is fire, the other is lightning. Could it be that he's an intermediate magician? That's impossible. That's definitely impossible. In this world, even if your cultivation is fast, there is no way you would be able to cultivate to the intermediate level within just 3 years. This is definitely impossible. Mu Joyan was the first one among the people to shoot out from his chair. He had difficulties believing what he saw in front of him. In the same way, Principal Zhu, Deng Kai, Yang Zuohei, Zhang Kong, these magicians who were at a higher realm, they were all unable to believe the scene they saw in front of them. Third-level lightning strike. This was clearly the third level of lightning strike. However, how could a fire student be able to cast a lightning spell? Was it the result of a special magical equipment? That's not right. The magnificent purple star path that had emerged around Mo Fan's body had already proven that this power was something he personally used. It's definitely not possible for him to have been supported by other magic equipment. The only lightning magician in this place, Shu Jiaoting, was even more dumbstruck. Holy crap! Isn't that the realm that he himself had been thirsting for? The third level of lightning strike, that was the objective that he himself was pursuing for the next few years. Why was it being cast by Mo Fan? You, Mo Fan, are clearly a fire magician, alright? Crumbled. Shu Jiaoting's heart just crumbled. This something which he, a genuine lightning user, hadn't grasped, and was actually achieved by a fire magician. I don't want to live anymore. Chapter 85 Innate Dual Elements. Mo Fan's classmates, Zhouman, Zhao Kunsen, Mu Bai, Zhang Xiaohou, and Wang Sanpang, were all frantically rubbing their eyes. It must be because they'd been studying magic for so long that they became delirious. Not good. They must return to school to write 10,000 scrolls to calm themselves. Having illusions before the high school exams was not a good sign. The entire place was silent for a very, very long time. As lightning strike came out, it was as though the concepts everyone knew had crumbled in this moment, and they were unable to say anything for a long time. Who can tell me this? Just what is going on? The man with the surname Zhou also jumped out of his chair as his gaze swept past the important characters of Bo City who were completely stunned by the display of lightning strike. Is there really no one who can come out and explain, or is it that I really am blind? Intermediate magician, he is an intermediate magician. He has awakened a second element, that must be it. Shui Mesheng used words that he himself could not believe. No. At this moment, the one with the highest status, Principal Zhu, spoke out. The people watched Principal Zhu attentively. They believed that the unbelievable and blinding scene in front of them could only be explained by someone with virtue and prestige like Principal Zhu. He is still a primary magician, Principal Zhu said firmly. Then how could he possibly possess the lightning element? Principal Zhu took a deep breath. At this moment, one could tell how stirred up this teacher of Bo City was. He was so stirred up that the muscles on his face were quivering, so moved that he even needed a while to speak. Innate dual elements, Mo Fan is an innate dual element. Finally, Principal Zhu spoke out his definite conclusion from shock. That's right. It must be an innate dual element. This student's cultivation definitely had not reached the intermediate level. The only explanation as to why he was able to cast lightning strike was him being an innate dual element. He awakened fire, and also awakened lightning. This student who was nurtured within Tianlan Magic High was the world's incomparably matchless, rarely seen innate dual element. Innate dual element. Heavens, this world really has an existence like an innate dual element? I don't know what to say. Shui Masheng, Mo Fan. Isn't he your student? Weren't you in charge of the awakening day? The disciplinary teacher Chen Weiliang said to Shui Masheng at his side while being completely shocked. I was, but I clearly remember he only had a fire element. Shui Masheng tried really hard to recall that day, but unfortunately, he really could not recall the situation back then. This mind-blowing matter caused people to forget that this was a magic duel between the youths. The sensation caused by the innate dual element caused people to forget that the main character today was supposed to be Yu Ang, who came of age. Tonight, there would be no one as dazzling as Mo Fan with an innate dual element, who had achieved the brilliant feat of amazing the whole world. This kid. Our army will definitely have him. Whoever dares to steal mine, I will raid their home. The head of the army, Zhang Kong, had jumped out of his chair a while ago. He, the great Zhang Kong, feared no one in Bo City. Whoever dared to jump out today and steal this kid Mo Fan with an innate dual element, then he, Zhang Kong, will eliminate said person. Holy crap, he was dropped in Bo City in the south by the higher-ups, and he thought it was just that. Who would have known that this little place would have a youth that possessed an innate dual element that rebels against the heavens? When Mo Fan only had a single fire element, Zhang Kong had already wanted him, and wanted to pull him into the magic army. Who would guess that this kid had concealed such a heaven-alarming talent? He wanted this kid Mo Fan. Zhang Kong would take him even if he had to lose his entire fortune. That man with the surname Zhou wanted to stand up and say something. In the end, Zhang Kong's words made his entire being abruptly stop. Shit, not like this. Our Zhou family also wants him. The man with the surname Zhou was now regretting the fact that he didn't jump out earlier to forcefully pull this kid away. Now, after the appearance of the innate dual element, the powers of Bo City were completely broken due to this homeless kid. Boss Zhang Kong, although there are many things which are in your control within Bo City, that does not mean that as long as you want it, you can take it. I'm going to report to the higher-ups. Our enormous magic association has never let go of an exceptional genius. Furthermore, what other organization is more specialized in nurturing magicians than our magic association? Yang Zuohei directly jumped out. Small families and small ancestral families would still have to give face to the army. However, the Great Magic Association did not need to do so. Fight? In this world, they had never heard of a power that would dare to contest the Magic Association. Hey, this kind of student, our school actually is very much willing to expend a large quantity of money to nurture. So the two no longer need to worry about that, Principal Zhu said. Damn them. These two guys, Zhang Kong and Yang Zuohei, wanted to snatch away Mo Fan in front of his face before he even graduates. I, old Zhu, have good relations with people. However, that doesn't mean I will concede this kind of student to others. If you have some ability, then come and contest our magic school. Don't forget, many of your battle mages actually come from our magic school, so give me all you've got, Zhang Kong. Mu Zhouyan stood there like a fool. He looked at all the guests who were shocked by Mo Fan, and then looked at all these powers contesting each other about Mo Fan in front of his face. At last, he looked at the duel arena, at the magician who was controlling the dual elements of lightning and fire. Mu Ningzhu from his family also had a rarely seen talent in magic. However, if we're talking about appeal, then the innate dual elements were a few points ahead. After all, Mu Ningzhu's innate ice affinity spirit was definitely above peers of her age. However, those rich and powerful ancestral families were able to gather treasures to obtain ice affinity spirits, whereas the talent of an innate dual element was something you definitely could not find a second of even if you were to turn on the lights to search for one across the world. It could be said that even Mu Zhouyan would want this kid. Hurry up and get up, old brother Jia Xing, get up. I only wanted to give your son a little lesson. How could I possibly have him do it? Mu Zhouyan hurriedly supported Mo Jia Xing in front of him. Mu Zhouyan's attitude had taken a 180-degree change. After Mo Jia Xing got up with support, he looked around his surroundings with disbelief. Perhaps a driver wouldn't know what an innate dual element actually represented, but from seeing the change of expressions of these important characters from before and currently, he was able to understand just how incredible his own son was. No, being incredible wasn't enough to describe it. His son perhaps was enough to cause a sensation throughout the entirety of Bo City. This was very good. Selling off his only family property to let him enter Tien Land Magic High was not in vain. If he hesitated for even a little, he could have killed off an incredible magician. Look at all these important characters of Bo City. Look at the expressions on their faces. Look at them when they're fighting. Heavens, I, Mo Jiaxing, who doesn't have any morals or ability, am capable of giving birth to such an incredible son. Mo Jiaxing wiped at his tears of joy as he stood up. A busy life and a petty salary, along with a poor environment, had pressured his back that had always been crooked. Normally, he would drive for these rich, powerful people and nod his head and bow, which was no different from kneeling. He now understood why his own son had told him to stand up. It was because from now on, the two of them would no longer have to grovel before anyone.